Tēnā tātou katoa, good evening. Kiwis.
Good story overall.
Life-saving drugs are celebrating tonight after the government announced a monster funding boost for medicine buying agency Pharmac. It'll get an extra $604 million over the next 4 years.
150 more million a year.
54 new drugs and help 175,000 patients in the next 12 months. Now, National had specified 13 new cancer drugs that it wanted funded. Under this package, only 7 of those will be funded, but the remainder will be replaced by alternative drugs that are either as good or better.
So even that's good. Like, we criticised them last week because fucking Reti was going on about we're going to have exactly the same drugs as we listed. We're going to have exactly the same drugs, the ones we said we're going to have. And the medical institution were going, there's better drugs than those now. So even that's good. So they've done the right thing by fulfilling the drugs which are the best for people out of that list and getting better ones. It's a good story. It's good for patients. It's good for some cancer sufferers. It's good. This is a good day for New Zealand, for the New Zealand health system.
There will also be an extra 13 cancer drugs funded, along with a further 28 drugs for other conditions. It's a response to an outcry from patients after the promised drugs weren't funded in the budget. Political editor Jenna Lynch has the details.
Patients like Vicky Hudson-Craig were hanging off every word of the Prime Minister today.
So today we are very proud to be making a health announcement.
As the government announced it would pour $600 million into Pharmac to fulfil its cancer drug promise.
We are delivering on our promise to support Kiwis fighting cancer.
Vicky has stage 4 melanoma. The treatment she's on is unfunded and one of the 13 promised by National on the election campaign. She's currently paying more than $5,000 a month for it herself. Her drug wasn't among those named today.
Really pleased for Pharmac and for New Zealand in general, but on a personal level, a little confused and uncertain still.
We could have done things and communicated things a little bit better, but I just say to you, this is a substantive, significant, over-the-top investment that we're making here that I think will absolutely transform many Kiwis' lives.
It's, it's life or death that I need to be on that drug, and they appealed to people like me, friends and family of mine, people that we know that voted purely because of this policy.
The promise was...
Can I just say, this is not in defence of the National Government. I don't quite understand that part of the story, because the 13 drugs that they said they were going to get have been funded or alternatives for it. Yet the person in the story just there was saying she was voting for this government for those drugs, but it seems that the drug that she needs wasn't in that list either. I guess what she's saying is because there was a focus on cancer, but just to be accurate, what I hear, Chewy, tell me if you hear it differently, but what I hear her saying, her drug's not on there, at the same time as the government saying all of those drugs, or better ones, have been funded, which means her drug was probably never on there anyway. She was probably just hopeful that other ones would be. Is that a fairer, like, at least observation right now?
That's my read on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Just to make it clear, and this is not to, us, this is not to support what's going on right now, but just to be as accurate as we can.
It was a glaring omission from this year's budget, and ministers have been scrambling behind the scenes to come up with a fix to the quite complex policy problem. Because Pharmac's independent from politicians, the government cannot specify which treatments it should fund. Pharmac has a wait list of drugs it wants to fund. It's ranked, but the rankings are secret for commercial reasons. So to fund the specific drugs the government wants to, it needed to give Pharmac enough money to fund all the drugs ranked ahead of the 13 promised.
Right. Did you get that? We can't skip over that. So imagine that there's 30 drugs and the drugs they're named are number 4, 7, 9, 15, 18. That means to make sure their election promise was fulfilled, Chewy, they had to fund enough to get right the way down to 18. So all these other drugs have just been caught up in their blunder about announcing what they were going to do before the election to get these cancer drugs funded. So that's why I'm saying they've blundered into this. This is not good governance. This is great for New Zealand. It is not good governance. It is not good politics. They've gone, well, hang on, for me to get down to number 22, because that's the last one we said, it's currently number 22, we have to fund all of those to make sure it happens, because they're not allowed to say only fund 1, 7, 9, 15, 22. They can't do that. So the only way they can get to number 22, arbitrary figure, is to fund all of them. So they've fucking fallen into this, Chewy, by giving New Zealand a really good outcome, or really good result when it comes to the health system, because they were such terrible electioneers and made such a balls up about this before the election. Yours.
Yeah. As I said, this is a great result for people that need those drugs. It's a great result for Pharmac to have extra funding. It's absolutely not because of good governing.
No.
It's not. It's not because of good process. It's not because of good decision making. It is because they fucked up bad, and they got absolutely lashed by the public and the media, and they panicked.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it
look,
would
and
have been great. Like, what would we be saying if these guys came in and said, "Hey, look, we've identified this clear lack of what Pharmac needs to bring in. This is what we've campaigned on. We have the funds in the budget because we're sensible." No, they flubbed it at every fucking step of the way, and now they're just panicked, and they're like, "Oh, we're trying to spin this into a good thing." It is a good thing, but not because of you.
Yeah, no, and like Mike says there on the message, it's 56 drugs. I'm picking out, so that probably means one of those 13 drugs they named was probably number 56. So that's so to make sure all of those drugs or their equivalent got funded, they had to go all the way to number 56, which is great. Like, honestly, it's a really good news story. And I'm not trying to be a partisan hack here, but it's with no thanks to National. It's really not, because they were forced to. And there's lots of other people here saying in the chat at the moment, let's put a few of them up, saying about this. Shows how desperate they are just because of the polls. Steph says too little too late. I'll say this, right? I was thinking about this today. Funnily enough, Chewy, I was thinking about this based on that conversation we had last week about if there's a conspiracy theorist in your family. Like, when a conspiracy theorist comes to the light, even if they've been a prick for the last 10 years, there's a celebration that they've come to the light. Like, honestly, I think being gracious and going, awesome, you've seen the light, let's walk forward now. This feels a bit like that. These guys have provided, guys and girls, this government has provided something that they didn't want to do before the election. They probably still don't want to do now, because they know the mountain of criticism that's going to come to how they're handling it. But all of that aside, we've got these drugs now through Pharmac. I mean, that's all that really matters. So I understand what you're saying, Steph, too little too late. I don't know if I entirely agree, because all I can think of in the U-turn of the century, says Rod Tang, is that those medications are now part of the Pharmac system. Fucking awesome.